What's going on, you guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're doing something a little different. So I got my buddies over here. We got Ryan and Rodney, and we have his beautiful K-swap Frank Integra K24 K20 bottom. And today we're doing a little bit of fabrication and getting rid of this full core, and we're going to be installing this Speed Factory drag radiator. And what I'm pretty much doing today is I'm just gonna find the best location to make tabs so we can bolt this up into the chassis. And I'm not even sure how the previous owner mounted this because there is no tabs, but we are going to put tabs on it to make sure that this is stabilized in the engine bay, because this car does go down a strip a lot. It does do a lot of, like, you know, road racing and things like that, and we want to make sure that that radiator does not flop around in the engine bay. PLM header with what exhaust?
K20.
K2.
It's a 3-inch.
3-inch all the way back to a K2 turn down. Oh, I love it. That car is beautiful. So is his car. Your fitment on your wheel setup on your Integra, bro?
It's cool. It's all right.
Does it rub hard or not?
Not
Bro.
at all.
How many of you guys can relate? All right, guys, so we just got the car jacked up, all the coolant drained out. We got the full-size core radiator pulled out as well, and everything pertaining to the Speed Factory radiator, we are going to swap them all out. So while we are doing this cooling system, we're going to be swapping out the heater hoses too.
Yeah.
Heater hoses. These are all -16 lines, so we're going to be swapping out the thermostat housing right here, the upper radiator coolant fill neck, and then the heater, well, not the heater hose, but the bypass hose that goes to the bottom over there, thermostat, and then here's the housing and the O-ring. What is this? Bolts. And then so pretty much what the job is today is, like I said, finding a place to make some tabs to mount this sucker into place without it moving all over the place when the car is, you know, obviously driving or being abused. So brainstorm real quick, and then we'll get down to work. So what I noticed with this K2 unit, you bought the secondhand, right?
Yeah.
So secondhand, and it doesn't have this barb right here that's supposed to go to this coolant hose right here. And honestly, I don't even know what it does, because all it is just going from this water pipe to this, and then this other one right here at the bottom goes to the same you know, neck right here, and it's just a flow of coolant. So what I'm pretty much going to do is I'm just going to loop this guy over to this guy and just have that loop instead of putting a bolt in there, because then that would be another, like, pinpoint to a leakage. So I'm going to take this guy right here, which sat on the top with this neck. I'm gonna take this and I'm gonna thread it into the bottom thermostat housing, which has a slot for it right there, and the harness for it actually reaches that area wherever it went. Oh, I'm hella blind. So it reaches right over here perfectly, and that should work out just fine. So all I'm going to do now is we're going to bolt this guy up with the new hardware, which is the Allen heads right there, and we'll button this guy up so we can run the hose and figure out where exactly does the radiator sit, and then we'll start figuring out the mounting locations for it. So the radiator that we're using is obviously the Speed Factory one, right? And this is secondhand used, so all the lines and everything are pre-made. But it also came with an extra 37 inches of stainless steel hose instead of nylon threaded. And given that we only have 245, 190 in the straight, the bottom one is already fixed for the bottom hose, so that's going to work out just fine once we install the lower thermostat housing that has a swivel neck on it. It's the top one that we're having issues with, and if we use the line already pre-made as is, which one is it? to show that real quick right there. That's the pre-made line right there. And with that line from the upper neck to the radiator actually sits like about right there. So given that the bottom one fits perfectly fine whichever position we have the radiator in, because it's long enough, we came up with the idea of just cutting out this support right here, which doesn't do anything, which then would allow us to bring this radiator inside under the support, right? So further in about another 1.5 inches this way. And then this existing bar that somebody welded onto the frame, it's there for me to kind of go base off of, because I think this car was turbo before. And I have these little tabs that are threaded for 10mm, which I could then weld on the back of this radiator right here, and then we can drill holes on this little bar to mount the radiator to, so it can be stabilized. And then once we get the radiator fixed into place, we can take the stainless steel line, build a new one accordingly with the 45 in the straight, so that way we can get this to connect to the upper hose right there. All right guys, so we got the lower thermostat housing installed partially. It's not fully bolted in yet because we still got to figure out the swivel and the position of the bottom hose, but it looks like it'll work out just fine. And the cool part about the swivel is that I can move it whichever direction I need to, so it gives me a lot of play with the bottom hose in case I need to shift this over or whatever the case may be. But right now we are kind of just test fitting everything. We kind of got everything already planned out, and let me show you what we came up with. So the intake, what the fuck was that? What the fuck? Hold on, shit. Anyways, so what we came up with is so the whole plan with this radiator setup was so you could set up your center feed, right? Yep. So this intake technically does not have to be on as long as this is plugged up, so we don't get a check engine light, right? But what I'm trying to do is make sure that everything fits, at least to have this into place in case, you know, he's going to run at the track without the center feed, that he can still run this intake out the front bumper. So we have this into place, and I'm going to cut the frame a little bit more right there so we can get this closer to the frame rail, so that way we can shift this over another 1/2 inch, which we already did, because without this intake, without this intake, we can shift this whole radiator setup over a little bit, and then we can tuck it to clear the latch portion right here and make it tuck further in, just like that. You see how that's nicely tucked in there? That's what we want. So this is what, a 4 or 5 inch? 4. So it's like a 4 inch, and that's almost a 4. So if we cut that out, we definitely have a 4 to kick this back into its position where it was originally at, and then we can fit this sucker into place. This bar is a perfect mounting spot for the radiator. So for the radiator, we're gonna put this little thing right here like I was talking about earlier, like that, and then push it back. Then we can put a hole in it, and then we can bolt this radiator down to this little bar, and then the radiator will have its own mounting spot. Now here in the bottom as well, I added this, you know, sticky foam thing right here, so it could absorb vibration and not dig the radiator end tank into the frame itself. So that's a little cushion for it to sit on, and all we got to do is build a new upper line. So just want to give you guys a quick little update here on what we came up with as far as game plan, and now we're gonna tackle it. A little more progress. So we have not touched the radiator just yet, but we did remove the AN fittings from the lines and, you know, flip them around. At the bottom we had a 90 to a 45, and in the top we had a 45 to a straight, but we needed the 90 to be on top, and apparently the 45 works at the bottom to the 45 to the thermostat housing. And what we ended up doing was we put the 90 up top right there, as you can see. Goes under the intake, and I still haven't modified the frame rail just yet, but it goes under the intake perfectly fine, enough clearance, probably like 2 finger, 1.5 finger gap, 2, and then it goes straight shot into the radiator. Now the bottom one we have to build a whole new line because the other one that we had is too short, and you know, the 45 is a perfect bend straight to this 45 without kinking it, and thank God for the swivel, give us kind of, you know, room to give it some slack or whatever the case is. So the blue is where I'm going to be cutting it, and then obviously we got extra length just in case we mess up. And now I'm going to cut this, install it in this guy, and then button that up before we really touch the radiator and weld these little tabs on. All right guys, so we got the AN fittings all buttoned up on the hoses, and right now it is mocked up into place. I know I was supposed to be welding those tabs on, but we kind of been waiting for the dryer over there, so we went to go grab something to eat real quick, came back. That is the last load that my brother's doing, and once that is done, we have our little tabs right there, and it's already marked up with the marker here. So once the welder is available to run the 220, we will start welding that. But in the meantime, these are K-series heater hoses, pre-fitted, so it should just slip right over. Replacement of the stock ones, especially these ones, because they are super old and like soft. And I'm about to take these guys off right now, install this sucker, and then show you how that looks right now. So K-Tune's little tag here says fit, work, and win. I think it should be fit, fit again, cut, fit, work, and then win. So I had to trim off about 2 inches on both ends of this hose before we can make it fit without any crazy kinks. So now we're winning. Man, I just can't get over these T37s. God damn it. Anyways guys, another quick little update. So it is always important to double check the fitment of whatever it is that you're welding before fully welding it, and that's what I am doing right now. So I'm gonna tuck this guy up right there where it's supposed to be. You can see that right there is lined up with the bar, as well as the one right here at the bottom, and looks good. Now we can fully weld this. That is gonna happen right now. Boom, weld it guys. So now we are going to install this, and the only problem is, given that we are such a tight spot with these dash 16s, I don't have a wrench big enough for it. So what I got to do is I'm gonna have to shave that down about 1/4 of an inch so we can slide that crescent over this AN and tighten up all of these. And then we're gonna put the bumper back on, drop the car back on the floor, and start adding coolant and bleeding it out. We are done here guys. Surprisingly, bleeding this new cooling system was a lot faster than we had thought. The coolant system bled out all the air out of the funnel. We had a funnel on there with coolant all the way up to the top, and then it stopped bubbling out. The heater was blowing super hot. We have no leaks whatsoever after fixing all of the swivel necks and everything that were loose. And I have no doubt in mind that this car is not going to have any type of heating issues. Hold on. That is wood. But we are all buttoned up here tonight guys. It took a little bit longer, but then again, you know, the boys are like from out of town. They drove an hour out here, and it's always nice to have company. So these guys, I only get to see them at the track every few months at a time, so it was nice to kind of like work on cars, bullshit, and you know, catch up on things. But at the end of the night, we are done with the car. He's happy. Everything looks great under here, and that's pretty much just gonna be it. We are at 1%, so if you guys are loving the K-Series DC content today, please hit the like button. And if you guys want to see me maybe possibly build a DC K-swap, hit that subscribe button, stick around, find out. Maybe we'll see one here very soon. Who knows? So with that being said guys, thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace out.